Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope everybody is warm and cheerful, right? On a day that's bringing us a little more snow. We have a couple of speakers today. I want to begin with Judy Wells and Doug Durliet to talk about the continuing hotspots in our economy and the opportunities for training for those. So Doug and Judy, if you'll come up. And I think what we're continuing to see is employers throughout the region continuing to demand additional workforce and people who are skilled, lots of opportunities in lots of industrial and business segments. So Doug?
We have Judy begin, and I'm going to defer to the expert on the subject here with Margot Meyer.
All right, very good. Judy?
Thank you, Mayor Berger. Really happy to be here. And my topic was to talk about hot jobs in the region. As far as I'm concerned, on a personal note, I think Lima and the greater Lima region is the best place in the world to be right now when it comes to jobs. As a matter of fact, just to give you a little stat here, because I just talked to the Allen Economic Development Group people, there are currently 1,608 openings within a 20-mile radius. And what the hot jobs are for this area are truck drivers, LPNs, RNs, STNAs, and anything in manufacturing, whether it's welding, robotics, CNC operators, that kind of things. We have partners all over the place that are right at our doors because they know that as far as Apollo, which I'm going to brag, of course, about Apollo a little bit, as far as our teachers are concerned, our experts, they are very well thought of in the community and really turns out skilled workers for you in your businesses. So, I got a couple seconds?
Sure, keep going.
Okay. All right. Because I could do this for like 2 hours, so just so you know, but I'll try to shorten it to a couple minutes. At the high school level, this is for parents and grandparents, by the way. We're just now taking applications for our high school programs. So at the end of February, you're going to be able to see your high schoolers come to our building for the following year. And our programs are so popular right now that we are at the highest enrollment since 2009. What that meant was this very year we actually added another robotics and welding program, a one-year program, and another health program that will turn out phlebotomists and STNAs because that's how high the demand is. So if you're a parent or grandparent in this region, talk to your kids about the great opportunities in those fields. And as far as my adult education programs are concerned, we are at 5,000 students for adult learners this past year. That's almost the highest we have ever had in all the years of Apollo. And we have great partners, for instance, with the trucking industry. The City of Lima hired a couple of our graduates recently. ODOT has hired a couple of our graduates recently. We have partnerships with Rhodes, Lima Pallet, Midwest Logistics, and Benjamin Steel. So trucking is big. Matter of fact, when I retire, I'm thinking about being a truck driver because I think, man, that would be just so great, right? And that healthcare is really huge, too, for STNAs, LPNs, and then, of course, partnering right into Rhodes and OSU Lima for RNs. So this is a great place to be for opportunities, for choices, for you to be able to develop and grow and really be a great and productive worker for the region of Lima. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Okay. Thanks, Judy. Margot?
Thank you, Mayor Berger. I'm going to talk a little bit on a little different line. I want to talk about apprenticeship, which is really kind of a hot subject, I think, nationally, locally, statewide right now. I want to give you a little bit of background of what an apprenticeship is so that everybody's on the same playing field. It is a signed agreement between an employee and the employer that they're going to deliver a certain amount of training, coursework, which is called related instruction, and a certain scheduled amount of on-the-job training. So it's a combination of those two things in a structured format that comprises an apprenticeship. Sometimes they are signed up with the Department of Labor, and at the end, an apprentice will earn a Department of Labor certificate. It used to be called a journeyman's card. It's not called a journeyman's card anymore. Now it's a certificate. It doesn't have to be registered with the Department of Labor, but it is advantageous to the apprentice to have that credential. And it's probably nationally one of the most recognized industry credentials that a student can earn. You have to stop me if I talk too much, okay? So Rhodes State's been involved in apprenticeships for about 6 years, okay? We deliver what's called the related instruction. We right now have about 130 apprentices that we provide some wraparound services to. They're all in manufacturing. We would love to expand out into healthcare or information technology or other segments of business. Other states are doing those kinds of things, but we really have not gotten traction there. And I believe the reason...
With the employers.
With the employers, correct. For a company to start an apprenticeship program, there has to really be an urgent need. They have to have probably gone down other paths. Like, I've met with a group of oil and gas companies, and they have a significant workforce need in like process instrumentation technology. And they say, well, our strategy up to date has been sort of steal from each other. And they've decided that strategy doesn't work so well. And so we're working with them actively right now to try to build a cohort of students that would develop through an apprenticeship or not to solve that workforce need. So again, sector strategies we're starting to see evolve. So it comes from a really urgent need because of the investment required by a company. So a traditional apprenticeship is going to be 4 years long. That's 8,000 hours of on-the-job training and a minimum number of 576 contact hours of related instruction. But that's not the only kind of apprentices that are available. We're starting to see companies, local companies, we just started 3 in the spring that are doing a shortened apprenticeship that is only 1 year long. They use those to take perhaps a production employee they think has potential, and they give them some additional instruction and some additional on-the-job training, and maybe now they're a team leader or a group leader, and now it's also a way for them to understand, is that person trainable? Are they going to be able to take the next step? So when we build apprenticeships, we always try to stack. So if you start with a 1 year, then it should be able to stack into apprenticeships that are longer. So for instance, you might have a 1 year apprenticeship in industrial maintenance, but you'd want it to stack into perhaps a 4 year apprenticeship in machine repair or electrical. So it's all about making sure that the students and the employer get what they want along the way. So Rhodes State has been identified. We can now be the sponsor. Used to be traditionally, it was always the company. So there's a grant at the state level, and there's 10 colleges right now that can be the sponsor. Well, why does that matter? It matters because now some of the administrative tasks that had to be carried by the company, like, how do you make sure that your apprentices are getting the related instruction at the correct timing and pace through this, whatever period of time it is. Well, we provide those wraparound services for them. We actually take their on-the-job training hours and input it into the system that the Department of Labor requires to keep track of that. So the sponsorship model helps really small or medium-sized companies get going with an apprenticeship, whereas the larger companies a lot of times have somebody in an administrative position to carry those responsibilities. Right now, we do have some grant funding that originates with the Department of Labor, comes through Apprentice Ohio to offset some tuition costs if we are the sponsor of record. All right.
Very good.
Thank you. I have some handouts. Just want to pass them around, and I'm not sure I have enough for everybody. Thank you.
I just want to emphasize that this topic is one that is obviously good news that we want to be actively sharing. Again, the last couple of years, there's been a surplus of jobs in our region. It's continuing, and I think that whether you're parents or grandparents that have seen your family members perhaps go off to other places, now's the time to be telling them that there are opportunities here back home. And then, of course, for those students that are getting ready to graduate this spring, now is the time to actually be evaluating options for them. So parents with seniors in high school, you need to be aware that there are opportunities in addition to college. And there are training opportunities as well as employment opportunities. So we appreciate the coverage that the media will give us on this, because again, I think it's great news, and it's the kind of news that we've been wanting for a very long time. So. Also this morning, representatives are here from the Chamber of Commerce to talk about the Community Enrichment Dinner. Jesse, are you lead? Jesse Pope?
I am Jesse Pope.
So please come up.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am Nicole Scott with the Lima Allen County Chamber of Commerce, here with Jesse Pope, and we are going to talk about the Community Enrichment Dinner that is set for April 18th here at the Veterans Memorial Civic and Convention Center. We have a Chief Diversity Officer and Divisional Vice President for Walgreens coming in as the keynote speaker, and his name is Mr. Pemberton. He will be also talking about A Chance in the World, which is his best-selling authored book that talks about overcoming abuse and neglect as an orphan in foster care, and the trailblazing corporate executive, enlightening diversity leader, visionary youth advocate, and speaker. We are excited to have him coming to the enrichment dinner. We are currently taking reservations for the dinner to take place on April 18th. Tickets are $60 each. We do have tables of 8 available for $480. We are also looking for nominations to honor 3 businesses and individuals for promoting diversity and inclusion in our community. You can nominate by submitting online at limaced.com, or you can go to limachamber.com through the Lima Allen County Chamber of Commerce to receive more information. The Community Enrichment Dinner is held in conjunction with the Lima Area Chamber Foundation to help fund the Walter Potts Foundation and Entrepreneurship Center. The financial donations since its inaugural event in 2006 are more than $92,700 that have went back into the community. And again, you can find more information at limachamber.com. And to nominate businesses and individuals, please submit your online registration at limaced.com. Thank you.
Jesse, comments?
I just have one important comment to make. Steve Pemberton is a highly skilled diversity and inclusion speaker and a very great advocate for it. He has been on television programs. He's been interviewed by Steve Harvey. He's been given awards from corporate America on his story. Is probably the most important. Is that I know this is a business environment, but Steve had a tough life. He was an orphan. He lived in foster care homes and was gathered great information and a way of life from a person who was an educator that talked to him along the way. The division that he took allowed him to go through, and of course, as I stated, receive several awards, and he is a world-renowned speaker in diversity and in inclusion for corporations. So now I think it's great to have someone that is a CEO, a vice president of Walgreens, which we have locally have Walgreens, and to realize that this man goes and talks to corporations as well as others in the business about how important it is for diversity and inclusion in your companies and in your businesses throughout. So we're proud to have him, and we are proud to know that we're starting this 2018. I say it's a restart because we did have some delay in having the Community Enrichment Dinner. And for those who don't know about the dinner has been important in terms of providing information, and we've worked diligently with locals, businesses, and other nonprofits to try to stimulate interest in minority and small businesses in Lima and Allen County. So thank you, and we look forward to your attendance and support of this dinner again. And we're going to follow through with all of the great things that are going on in Lima. We also need to be cognizant of the fact that there's a need to get more diversity in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Nicole. I want to invite Susan Crotty and Sergeant Garlock to come up. They both have some comments on winter-related subjects. Susan?
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to start by, I have a few other things to throw in there as well too, but I wanted to start by reminding everybody again about clearing the sidewalks for safety. I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everybody that we've got more bad weather coming up, and it is your responsibility to keep the sidewalks clear in front of your property. I had someone ask me the other day, they said, well, but it's better to leave a little bit of the snow down because that gives you traction on the ice. And I had to say, well, but the code says you're actually supposed to remove the ice too. So I did that myself, had to go out and put down salt. You are supposed to keep the sidewalks clear. They should be cleared within 4 hours after the snow has stopped falling during daylight hours. So, we do try to be reasonable about that. The Property Maintenance Division, we try to work with people just to make sure that, we are maintaining a good quality of life for everybody in the city. To that end, we're looking for people. We are actually hiring too. So we do have a position out there for a Property Maintenance Code Inspector 1. We are taking applications through February 22nd. So if you are interested or know anybody who might be interested, there is information on the city's website. Because we would like for somebody to join our team, and again, somebody who can enforce the code but can do it, respectfully and work with people in the community. So I think it's important to be able to work with people in that job. Another thing that they do on the more positive side is we try to acknowledge people who do take care of their properties, and those are the people who are probably out there already shoveling their sidewalks. But some people, they do put a lot of time and effort into maintaining their homes or to improving them. So we give out our Lima Home Pride Awards, which is coming up again. Our inspectors are going to make decisions about that. I think their deadline's the 26th of this month. So if you do have somebody you'd like to nominate, we take nominations for that too, if you want to call the Property Maintenance Division. So that's all I have.
Very good.
Thank you.
Sergeant?
Thank you, Susan. That was a perfect segue. We just want to remind people a couple of things. And like Susan said, this is about safety and trying to help your fellow neighbor out. The city of Lima has a code that if a vehicle is parked for longer than 48 hours on a roadway, that it needs to be moved. This is especially important during a snowfall and after a snowfall. It's actually in the city charter that if we get 4 or more inches of snow, the vehicle has to be moved within 12 hours. Again, this is because we want our city plows to be able to get through, clear the way for pedestrian as well as vehicular traffic.
How about the parking? Sometimes the folks end up parking in another lane as a result of their not getting up to the curbway. Any comments about that?
We wouldn't, that would be something that clearly could pose a danger to other traffic on the roadway. So we just ask, please use common sense. The officers will be out. They will be putting warning tags on vehicles as a reminder. We don't want to tow your vehicle. We just want everybody to stay compliant and stay safe.
Okay. Very
Thanks,
good.
Mayor.
Thank you. And just to punch that up, yesterday, Lima City Schools at least canceled school because folks didn't have their sidewalks cleared. It wasn't because it was too cold as is the norm. when Lima City Schools cancels. Yesterday, it was literally because folks had not cleared sidewalks. There's a lot of students who walk to school, and so clearing the sidewalks is really important for student safety and the general public as well. So we want to continue to remind folks, and if there are neighbors who perhaps are out of town, traveling, sometimes this time of the year when snowbirds head to Florida, if you can be helpful with your neighbor's property, that's a good idea. If there are elderly folks in your block, trying to do perhaps help them with snow removal as well is a good thing too. So we want to remind folks that it is an obligation, and with that, we can also be good neighbors. So we'll break down for individual interviews, and appreciate your attention this morning.